very hard to open.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, hi Sherry, how you doing?
Good.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Dan.
Colleen McNally, are you on right now? All right. 1 minute. To anyone new to the Beach Haven meetings, only the mayor and council should be unmuted right now. Everyone else should remain on mute until we open the floor for any comment from the public. When the time comes that we're ready to accept comments from the public, we'll ask you to raise an electronic hand. You can find that under your participants tab or under the reactions tab on your Zoom account. If you're unable to raise an electronic hand, you can also raise a physical hand like this, and we can call on you. Or if you're on a regular phone, you can *6 and announce yourself, and then you can be heard. But for now, we're going to keep everyone on mute. We're still letting folks in. Who just signed in with the last 4 digits of the phone number 9579? So I can put your name in the system. Who has the phone number 9579? You can *6 on your phone. Okay, maybe not. All right, Mayor, I'm going to continue to let people in if you want to call the meeting to order.
Sure. I'm calling this regular meeting of the Beach Haven Borough Council to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, March 8th, 2021. And it looks like I'll be leading the flag salute tonight, so please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building and on the Borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mrs. Ballmiller.
Here.
Dr. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Rutherford.
Here.
Mayor Lambert.
Here. Okay. The first order of business tonight is a proclamation. And this is kind of a nice thing that we get to do. And it's a proclamation for the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association Junior Mates. And I'm reading the proclamation, then I have a few comments and a few people to recognize after that. Whereas the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association was founded in 2003 with the Junior Mates program, part of the founding mission, and whereas Junior Mates was intended to inform, attract, and educate young men and women about the employment opportunities in charter fishing and generate a supply of qualified mates for local vessels. And whereas the program consists of in-class knot tying, rig preparation, New Jersey boater safety class, first aid, CPR, boat maintenance, fish cleaning, and many other skills, as well as hands-on experience with local charter boats. And whereas the Junior Mates were visited by a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection representative who inspired them to ask, what can we do to help? The Mates, along with other local establishments, raised the funds necessary to see a tugboat, a push boat, and a barge sunk 5 miles off Beach Haven on January 15th, 2021. Whereas the junior mates were instrumental in rebuilding these artificial reefs that provide habitat, shelter, and food for fish to prosper and reproduce. Now, therefore, I, Colleen Lambert, Mayor of the Borough of Beach Haven, do hereby proclaim the Borough of Beach Haven's gratitude and recognition to the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association junior mates, students, and staff for their extraordinary commitment to the health and prosperity of Little Egg Reef. In gratitude and recognition, and ask our citizens to educate themselves and support this local industry and its efforts to attract people from all over to our waters. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Borough of Beach Haven to be affixed this 8th day of March of the year of our Lord, 2021, Mayor Colleen Lambert. So congratulations. And I just have a couple other remarks to make. This is a great occasion. The Beach Haven Borough Council is extremely proud of this outstanding group of young men and women. Their efforts to make the artificial reef project happen were Herculean, and the time and effort that went into this project are gratefully recognized. This undertaking will go a long way to restoring sea life off of LBI, and it will promote marine conservation as well. It will also enhance the recreational fishing industry, so this is certainly a win-win for all, and we are profoundly grateful to the Junior Mates program. Captain John Lewis of the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association was instrumental in helping to write this proclamation, and he, along with Captain Carl Shepard, mentioned numerous people who deserved recognition, along with the junior mates, for bringing this project to fruition. First and foremost, the parents of the junior mates who raised this fantastic group of young people, often drove them to their classes and work, and were a wonderful support group without whom there wouldn't be a junior mates program. Second, Nick Perello. Nick started as a junior mate and then became an associate member. He later earned his captain's license and became a full member, and now is the secretary of the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association. Nick personally contacted over half of the donors, and there may not have been a reef project without his efforts. Next, the Hughes family and the team at the Seashell Resort and Beach Club, who raised the lion's share of the money for the first deployment through their fishing tournament and personal donations. Then there's Jane Enos and the Morrison's Marina crew, who promoted public awareness among their patrons and made personal donations as well. Next, Bill Burris, who hosted their first fundraiser and introduced their program to many business and community leaders. Then Brian Wainwright, along with the Fantasy Island organization, as well as the Beach Haven Library for hosting their first public awareness event. They would also like to recognize Dana Lancelotti and the Ocean County Tourism Council for their efforts. The Beach Haven Council would like to thank Captain Lewis and Captain Shepard for providing the names of those we just mentioned for all they do to help this most worthy program. We know there are many more people who weren't mentioned that contributed in various ways, and we want to thank each and every one of you as well. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone that you wanted to hear from who's attending the meeting today?
No, but I think that's a great idea. Let's open it up. If anybody associated with this wonderful program, if you'd like to say something, this would be your opportunity. Love to hear from you. Raise your electronic hand. You seeing anybody?
No.
No? Nobody at all?
John Lewis?
Yes, okay. I don't know how to raise the electronic hand. I'm sorry. I don't have any junior mates here to help me with my computer tonight.
That's it. Go ahead. We can hear you.
I just want to thank you, Mayor, and all the council members for your support and recognition of the program. It's not a one-person thing. There's, an awful lot of people involved, Nick being one of the major ones, and the people that you've mentioned before. We're very grateful to all of you for your support and kindness and generosity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick,
Anyone
did you want to speak as well?
Yes. So, like John said, thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, a lot of donors. I see their names listed on here as well. I think this is huge. This is great for Beach Haven. We're getting back to being a fishing community, which is what we're founded on. So between this and now the White Marlin Invitational Tournament, I think great things are happening in Beach Haven. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Mr. Burris.
No.
Technical difficulty.
Did we lose him?
No, he's still there. He had a hand raised, but can't unmute.
Did you not hear anything I said?
No,
wor-
there you go. Now we
Okay.
got you.
I just wanted to mention that Nick and Leanne did a great job, as well as the other junior mates, but I was overwhelmed by Tom Hughes and the $50,000 contribution that he generated for this. That enabled us, because of matching funds, to really be able to make this program happen. And that was just incredible. And I wanted to say that, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. I think that's it. Moving on, Colleen.
Yes. Borough Ma-
I have the borough manager's report. Cash receipts in the current fund for the account for the period of February 1st through February 28th, 2021 were $3,415,484.04. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the period of February 2021 totaled $3,784,717.86. The cash balance in the current fund account for this period totaled $15,426,037.06. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of February 1 through February 28th were $99,764.41. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of February totaled $225,170.84. And the cash balance in the water utility account as of February 28th, 2021 was $4,209,325.82, submitted by our treasurer, Shari Bowler. Bill, if you can mute yourself, thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to the ordinance.
Ordinance 2021-3C, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapters 90-2 and 167-9 of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven to include the need for additional information to better equip the Site Plan Exemption Subcommittee to make informed recommendations to the Borough Land Use Board. Final reading.
Second read, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same thing. So you can open the floor for public comment on this ordinance. We have to hold a public hearing.
Okay, so the floor is open. Anybody who'd like to comment on this ordinance, please raise your electronic hand.
Seeing none?
Okay, close the floor to public comment. Anybody on the council have any questions or comments on this?
Do not.
No? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-3C?
So moved.
Nancy,
And-
thank you. Dan, you're my second. Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes,
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 72, 2021, appointing Sharon Bowler as part-time certified tax collector. 74, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company. 75, returning piling bonds. 76, establishing the Architectural Advisory Committee for 2021. 77, returning donations received for the 9-court pickleball project at Nelson Avenue. 78, acknowledging a managerial appointment to the Land Use Board. 79, releasing a performance bond for Victoria Rose Condominiums LLC. 80, emergency temporary appropriations. 81, approving change order 3 dated February 26, 2021 for the 2020 water treatment plant upgrade project. And finally, 84, 2021 returning tax overpayments.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the items on the consent agenda?
No.
Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Is there- Okay,
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller,
Yes.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
yes,
I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $3,709,647.45.
okay. Are there any questions? Everybody have a chance to look over the bills?
Mhm.
Any questions or concerns about any of the bills?
No.
Nope. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller,
Yes.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. And general discussion, Sherry, did you want to kick us off here? Or-
Yes, so we have Rob Zarco on the line with us tonight. He would like to speak to council about the use of the Taylor Avenue Park again this year for the outdoor dining for the brewery, or the outdoor seating for the brewery. And we've spoken a few times with the council about the what we would like to see there, since that area is being trampled. The grass is really taking a beating. So we have 3 options that we were considering: a shell surface to put down, possibly a ground level deck, or possibly a paver area that we could then use into the future. So we have Rob on the line. Rob, if you can mute yourself and address the council about your options and what you'd like to ask for from them specifically.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I appreciate you having me on. Last year, we asked to use the field because that was their only option to open. The ABC and Governor Murphy permitted a expansion of premise. We were allowed to use our license across the street. Unfortunately, we don't have any property connecting, so we used the field across the street. It ran really smooth. I think it was well received by town people, by visitors, tourists, and we didn't have any issues with it, and it was very successful. I think it brought a lot of business to the area. We're in the same situation this year where we're not able to open fully, and we would like to get permission to use that area again. I found out from the ABC that they're actually extending the permits that they have now that expire at the end of this month for a couple years. So they're going to just automatically extend these permits. So my ask is from the town if we could possibly use that space again. We wanted to get a little more organized. Last year it was kind of, we found out about it and it was just go. We got everything together. So the field took a little bit of the trampling, and we did our best. But this year we were looking to put in more of a solution that works for us in the town, and that's kind of where I'm at. Sherry talked about the options. I could pull up my screen. Sherry, you want me to do that?
Yeah, do you want me to make a host, or
Yeah, you're not.
are you
Well,
going to talk?
yeah, I was just going to talk through it. So the first option was the clamshells, actually extending that area. We were permitted to use 75 feet by 75 feet. Last year, we used less than that. So this year, we're just looking at 60 by 60, which is smaller in the footprint that we had. Again, we're just looking for to get tables in there and have them spaced out for social distancing to keep everybody safe. So the first option would be the clamshells in the field and using that option. Option B would be a floating deck that would basically be in place so we wouldn't put any kind of footings into the ground. And the third option would be to do some kind of paver solution. So I don't know which one you prefer, and that's what I wanted to talk about. And then also see if we're allowed or approved to use the field this year.
Okay. Well, Sherry, I don't know if this is where I should jump in or, but we did discuss this about a week or so ago with Frank Little, our borough engineer, and Chris Carson, our head of public works. And we talked about the three options. And if I'm not mistaken, they were thinking that the pavers might be the best way to go.
Okay.
Sherry, do you remember anything beyond that? That's what I have for my notes. Nope. Okay.
I think Sherry, are you there? I think she's frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, she might have been
I
frozen.
think she is. We were discussing a possibility of having like a permeable paver.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So to kind of stem off Frank Strawling and have more of a kind of a flow, not less. You have it like 60 by 60. We were kind of taking that permeable paver option that Frank had drawn and kind of make it like a semicircle almost,
Okay.
rather than a square.
All right.
That's
The
what we
same,
were.
same area, Jamie?
Yeah, the
Okay.
same area. But we were also, because I mean, I know that people can bring food in there from other places. We were trying to kind of put our heads together where, it could be a little bit more inclusive of the, other businesses in or around that area.
Mhm. Yeah, the only thing I know is we have to have a fence there. Before the ABC wouldn't allow us to promote food since the pandemic happened. We're
Mhm.
allowed to do that, and we're happy to do that. We did that and partnered with restaurants last year in the area that had QR codes. I already had newer businesses and other businesses reach out to me about putting menus, QR codes, doing free delivery. So we're all for that. The only thing is we have to have some kind of fence. Last year we had the dune fence. We'd like to improve on that a little bit to make it so it's not blowing around a little bit in the wind, like it, kind of folding in on itself, make it a little nicer. And that's what we're looking to do.
Okay.
But I know we have to have some kind of barrier with the fence, Jamie. I know that for sure. With
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
but we want to make it as nice as we possibly can. So, everybody that comes into town's proud of, what we have out there and really like it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Do we get Sherry back? Or,
I'm
any-
here.
Okay, any other council members have a question or comment they would like to ask?
I do. If you go the route of putting the pavers in, when the ABC rescinds your outdoor permit, are you willing to just walk away from that area?
Well, that's the thing. We would like to have the town help us for the next couple of years, have access to that area. And that would be an ask that we have, Dan. So, this year and next year are definite with the ABC, but past that, I guess we would have to lobby with you to use that area. I don't mind making the investment to actually put the pavers in, but I'd like to use the space, utilize the space for a little bit if we're making that kind of investment.
I'm just concerned that when the ABC is done, that,
Hmm.
it might be, it's public property, really.
No, I know.
Grid
No, I
line.
know.
That's a
No,
sticky situation. So,
Yeah, and I totally understand because we had to jump the road, which isn't typically done for a license, but we were able to do that. Right now, we're approved until November 30th of 2022. So we do have 2 seasons out of this. So, I'm
that all-
almost willing to roll the dice a little bit. And then if in the future, if everything's going well with the 2 years that we're doing it, and you're fine with it, and it's a good experience for people, all I'm asking for help if the future years, if we do have to lobby, if they turn around and say no, I'm not going to go back to the town and blame anybody. But if I'm able to get a couple years out of it, that's great.
Okay, I mean, are the permits from the ABC all kind of like our municipal executive orders? Are they kind of autonomous from Governor Murphy's executive order, or are they?
Well, he helps regulate it, but you know, he actually signed the bill into action or approval that this is in place until November 30th, 2022. And you know, it's work from him and work from the ABC. They see the need for businesses to survive. I honestly, if we didn't have this, I don't think we'd be able to be in business this year or next year. So
No, I'm all for it.
we appreciate you guys, what you're doing for us, because it's making us survive at this point.
No, I'm more than happy to help out a business like yourselves and, you know, anyone
Okay.
else. But, you know, I'm just worried at the end of the day, the discussion that's going to be had might not be favorable for, you know, your investment that you're making.
Yeah, well, I got to roll the dice, and it's the only way I could really do it.
I got you.
I think it's a great idea. I think when we look at it, when this COVID is over, we have to look at everybody and make sure that we're fair to everybody in town. But everybody's making an investment. People that put up tents, that's expensive as well. So I just think it's great that you can stay in business.
Yeah, so trust me, so do we, Nancy. Thank you.
I have a question. So if we discuss the paver option, I'm assuming your setup will still look like the pictures for the other two options that you had, like you would have the storage in the center of that paver area.
Yeah, we can move the storage to the outside. I mean, that's, you know, negotiable what we do, but we want to make an area that's nice. We're not going to drop a storage container or anything like that. We'd make something that fit in to the environment that just made it easier for us.
Yeah,
That's
and it looks like you have seating kind of around that bar area and then the tables on the outside of the tent. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it would be, we'd have a number of tables inside and outside the tent.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to do that, that's really nice. I'm assuming we're just requesting that he do, you know, this is a question for council, requesting that he just do the paver option for the field portion that he's looking for, not the drawing that's here from Mr. Little. Not the sidewalk part. Anyone answer that question?
Yeah, I didn't see the drawing to what you guys want to do. It's just there's a sidewalk plan with tree grates, benches that we saw. So.
Right.
The idea was to take that sidewalk area and then go from that bench bump out to the other with an arc of
I see.
pavers. I don't know how much of the conversation I missed, but that was the idea.
Yeah, I was trying to sum that up, Sherry.
Thank you.
If you look at the drawing, I think that what Chris would answering is that we would be responsible for the sidewalk area because we were already going to do that anyway. And is that correct, Sherry?
Well, we had put that project aside and
Okay.
we're kind of hoping that Rob could help us facilitate the full project because for us to do the full project is going to be twice as much.
Okay.
So Bruce, would we be able to put together a use agreement with Ship Bottom Brewery, between the borough and Ship Bottom Brewery, to make sure that we have all of our thoughts and requirements on both sides in writing? You're on mute.
Yes, absolutely, Sherry.
So if everyone's in favor of this just general idea, we can start to draft an agreement with Bruce and go back and forth with Rob. And then ultimately the council would need to approve it by resolution. So we'd still have some details we can work out, but at least we know in concept where we're headed. If
Hey,
the
Sherry,
consensus is there.
I did have one question on the pavers. I couldn't get in touch with Mr. Little. I did leave some messages for him to discuss the project.
Yeah.
Does anybody know the color of the pavers?
No.
I bet Mr. Burris does.
We have that all, Frank has all of that. And I think that's also in the master plan as well.
Okay. My only concern is if they're dark, it's going to be a little hotter. That's all. So, you know, if we use something lighter like a gray or a neutral, it might work out better.
I think they're pretty gray. I think they're.
Oh,
gray.
okay. I couldn't see it from the drawing and it wasn't spelled out, and that's why I was calling Mr. Little to see what grade.
Amanda, do you have an answer to that question, or is this about something else? I see someone's hands raised.
So I just have a question about why we're choosing pavers over something that's more likely to absorb any of the flooding, rainwater, tide water, anything.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to go back on mute. I didn't know if you were answering that question, but we're not taking public comment yet. So you'll be first on the list, okay? So just hang on to that question for me. Jay, same with you. If you could keep yourself on mute, I appreciate it. Whoops. Okay, where'd you go? All right. All right, are we clear on that? That's where we're headed?
Yes.
So we're moving forward with working with Mr. Zarco to get this all set up, and then I'll come back to council.
Right, and we did
Yes.
say, we said that the ARC would be, we would be using permeable pavers.
Right.
Yeah, so to answer Amanda, the permeable pavers do absorb stormwater. Not anything significant if we were getting like a flood from a severe storm, but for normal everyday rain, it would be absorbed.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Do you have any other questions for council?
No, that's it. I guess I'm just waiting for Bruce to draft an agreement. I'll check out my costs. I kind of looked at what we were having to do with the ARC. It might be a little different than what I planned for, but let's get this together and figure it out.
And we can always conference with Frank, you and I, and make sure we get on the same
Okay.
page.
All right. Awesome.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. General discussion B, some proposed changes to the zoning ordinance. Jamie, I guess this is kind of tag team between you and I. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so what I've been doing, or what I constantly do, is to look at our different zoning districts in town, which we have 10 of, and just going through and kind of looking at things that we are not necessarily using, or maybe the original intent is no longer what has been currently being used as. So two of the things that we were discussing was the height, and we did go up to 35 feet after Sandy to become resilient and to meet our base flood elevations. Along that line, we also discussed what other towns on the island were doing. We're actually at the highest at 35 feet. And after discussing with builders and developers and architects and engineers, they pretty much were talking that it's not necessarily the height that makes a building look so massive, but it's actually trying to find kind of like that formula to help us fit into the look that we're trying to accomplish here in Beach Haven. And one of the things that are very important to me is to keep this integrity that we have and this unique look that we have in Beach Haven. And I think it's different than all the other towns on the island when you drive in, to try to keep that kind of historical look to it, that small town feel. So one of the things that we were, trying to come up with, which I'm still need guidance on, is trying to incorporate things in the zoning for different roof pitch, or incorporating ways to make the house not look like, a completely flat roof and a big box. Because what we're seeing now is a huge wave of houses that are currently being built. I mean, the houses go on the market and they're sold the next day. And these houses were like houses that I would live in, but people are just knocking them down. So we're seeing a new wave now. So that was the first draft changes, which I'm not really looking to change yet. I still need a lot more guidance, keeping the height at 35 feet, but looking towards other towns and other professionals to kind of guide us on the look that we want moving forward. And I've looked at some of the code in Cape May, and they have really good, interesting ways to kind of pitch their roofs to make it kind of feel like that, that historical way, which a lot of our older houses do. But that's kind of looking for more guidance on. But the definite change that I want to move forward with is the exemption to move into the front yard setback. So the front yard setback is 15 feet. And we have an exemption that we put in after Sandy to allow steps to go in 60 square feet in additional. And that was for people that were raising their homes so they could encroach on their front yard setback. But we don't really have a lot of homes being raised any longer. And what we're seeing is that, these big houses are going up and they're encroaching on the front yard setback to build their stairs when they could just take it back into the home like they did before Sandy. And what it does is it just kind of takes away the whole sight line of the block. So a block that would have a straight sight line from, let's say, the boulevard and you could see the bay now has, all these, stairs encroaching as newer homes are going up, which is really was not the original intent of that ordinance. So I want to remove that exemption. And I was speaking with Frank, and there wasn't really a concern because the state allows homes that are raising their house to get to that base flood elevation to have that anyway. So we didn't really need to still have that exemption. So that's the change that I was bringing to council, was to remove the exemption to go into the front yard setback for stairs.
Did you think about possibly just changing the wording just a little bit to make it pertain to only existing raised homes, not necessarily new construction?
I talked to Bruce, I think I talked to Bruce about that, or it was Frank initially, I can't remember, it might've been Frank, and he said that was going to be worded that way, but then they could not do that because it would have been discriminatory to new construction. That's the gist that I got. But that would be fine. I just when we have these new homes come up, there's really no need for it. We have the 15-foot front yard setback, for a reason, to have that sight line. It just makes it neat and manicured, and that kind of that hometown feel where not everything is kind of different as far as the sight line on the street.
Could I make a comment? I totally agree with you, Jamie, but I do know there's still houses that if they came out with another grant opportunity for people to raise their houses, they might do it. I think they would like to do it. There's still houses that are in flood areas that are directly on the ground. And I don't know what the legality is, but it seems to me that if somebody's hard up to raise their house and they were to get a grant, the only way they could really get in the house would be to allow for those steps. So there ought to be some way to allow this in those situations. Certainly if they're knocking the house down and building a whole new house, they ought to be able to design the house so they don't have to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's what I think Frank already said, that they're like at the state level that they're already allowed to do that.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, so there was like
confusing. Yeah,
I agree with you 100% that if someone, is raising their home and it would be a financial burden, they have nowhere to put their stairs, they have to do that. But that's not the way that it's being used now. So, we can definitely, look into that to see if that law does exist that Frank mentioned at the state level, and then move forward with that.
okay.
And then, Jamie, there was also the suggestion that maybe what you do is also, in addition to that, just limit the amount that it can encroach.
Yeah, I thought about that, but the thing is everyone has it. You really don't need to, because if you have a driveway under your house, that has to be 18 feet anyway. So if the front yard setback is 15 feet, you have to have if you're putting a garage under your home, it has to be 18 feet. So you get that extra footage anyway, but it's actually even, more encroaching that way. So I don't find it's necessary. We didn't have it before Sandy, so.
Any members of council want to discuss this?
I think Jamie's making a very valid point that the purpose of it was, obviously a necessary thing for the houses being raised, but if that's not the case, then we should go back to the pre-Sandy land use rules. I think that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if the state has one that would supersede our ordinance anyway, we need to find out about that, and then we could take that off and not put people that are still planning on elevating in a tough spot. So I think that's an important facet of it.
Emergency management, would we lose points for removing these types of things from the ordinance or no? No, okay.
No.
No, okay. Bruce, then maybe work with Jane to see if we can get this in writing in a way that it's correct.
Yeah, obviously I could talk to Jamie offline and then consult with Frank too as well.
Okay, just want to make sure we get that together. All right, do you want to move on to general discussion item 3?
Okay, the cannabis operations within the borough of Beach Haven. I'm sure
Yes.
many people that we have a flurry coming down and we were going to do an executive session, correct? Did you have anything you want to say first?
So I have resolution 82, 2021, authorizing an executive session to discuss items of attorney-client privilege. Bruce and Mickey are on the call to offer some guidance to the municipal council. I anticipate being in the executive session. Bruce, what do you think? Approximately 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe not even that long.
Okay, and no formal action will be taken during the closed session, and then we can reconvene and continue the discussion in the public and then open the floor for public comment.
Okay.
All right, so do
right,
I have a
make a-
motion on the resolution 82, 2021?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. So if you could just hang tight, I will go ahead and put us into the breakout room.
We okay now?
We're waiting for Sherry.
Okay. I'm on my iPad. I can't see.
I'm back.
Okay. So do I make a motion to resume regular council meeting?
You can just state that we're reconvening and the time.
Okay, so we are reconvening the regular council meeting at 7:14. And our attorneys would like to give you a brief overview of what was discussed. Bruce or Mickey?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Mickey Weiss. So on February 22nd, 2021, Governor Murphy signed into law the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Enforcement Assistance and Marketplace Modernization Act, which legalizes the recreational use of marijuana by adults 21 years of age or older and establishes a comprehensive regulatory and licensing scheme for commercial, recreational, adult use cannabis operations, use, and possession. And the act establishes 6 different types of establishments in which the borough can license. Class 1 is a cannabis cultivator license, which is for facilities involved in growing and cultivating cannabis. Class 2 is a cannabis manufacturer licenses for facilities involved in the manufacturing, preparation, and packaging of cannabis items. Class 3 is a cannabis wholesaler license for facilities involved in obtaining and selling cannabis items for later resale by other licensees. Class 4 is a cannabis distributor license for businesses involved in transporting cannabis plants in bulk from unlicensed cultivator to another licensed cultivator, or cannabis items in bulk from any type of licensed cannabis business to another. Class 5 is a cannabis retailer license for locations at which cannabis items and related supplies are sold to consumers. And Class 6, which is a cannabis delivery service, which sounds exactly like it is, sort of like an Uber for cannabis. The act gives the borough up to 6 months to decide which, if any, of these establishments it wants to allow to be licensed in the borough. If the borough doesn't decide to do anything in the next 6 months, all of these establishments would be allowed to be zoned in the borough for the next 5 years. So within the next 6 months, the borough has to make this decision in which it chooses to at least ban initially any or all of these 6 types of establishments. And as far as it relates, the borough can choose a certain amount of numbers of licenses in the various classes it would like to grant if it in fact did decide to license certain establishments, and the borough can decide where it would zone those establishments, whether it was a retail store or some sort of delivery service. The borough is prohibited from regulating delivery services coming in from out of town. So if somebody who was renting a house on a weekend called up a delivery service from the mainland to come deliver to their house or anywhere else in which they might be, the police department wouldn't be able to stop that from happening. And other than that, that's really what is applicable in terms of what the borough has before it and its decisions it has to make over the next several months. We're still awaiting for the whole regulatory scheme to be passed, and it's going to be some time. So practically speaking, it's going to be, I would say, at least a year, if not longer, before any establishment, even if permitted, would be able to open up. So that's pretty much what the update is. And if anybody has any questions from me.
Thanks, Mickey.
Thanks, Mickey.
Okay, I guess we'd open to the public, Sherry, to see if anybody has a question that Mickey or Bruce could ask or answer, excuse me.
Yeah, at this point, you can open the floor on to the public for any topic. We're about at that point in the agenda where we can open on any topic. So if anyone would like to make a comment, you can raise an electronic hand and we will call on you. Jay Cranmer.
Thank
Your name and
you.
address for the record.
Jay Cranmer, 509 Dock Road, Beach Haven. First, just want to give a little background on how the different businesses in town got to accommodate their occupancy when COVID hit us all last summer. And the town was very helpful to pretty much everybody with our tents or seats on the sidewalk and so forth. One of the caveats you all made with us was that we could not increase our occupancy. And that wasn't too much of a problem because last summer we were not allowed to have any occupancy inside our buildings. So whatever occupancy we got pretty much was, in our case, in a tent on our parking lot, or we had an outside dining garden. Other people found other creative ways to come up with some occupancy. You all helped Ship Bottom Brewery, since they couldn't use any of their indoor seating with the use of the public land across the street. I have a couple of questions. I'm wondering if you looked at what their occupancy was inside and how much occupancy they were gaining across the street, because I'm just looking at a fair playing field. And secondly, we're now allowed 35% inside occupancy, and we think it will get to 50% by the start of the summer. I don't think Governor Murphy is going to give us more than that. So have you, and I don't need an answer right now, I'm just raising the question, have you taken into consideration the occupancy, the constraints you put on all the other restaurants? Are you applying the same to the use of the public land across the street from Ship Bottom Brewery? The other point I wanted to make.
Jay, I can answer that.
Okay.
We are. The requirement is still there that you can't exceed your approved capacity from before COVID. So if you're at 35% inside, then you can't have more outside to exceed your normal capacity.
Okay, so that'll.
And we are aware.
You're aware of that. Okay, fine, thank you. I just appreciate the clarification. The other issue I wanted to mention is that it caught my attention big time was when the fellow whom I really don't know, but from Ship Bottom Brewery mentioned that they were hoping that there could be a longer term use of that land for their business after the COVID thing was over. And that's kind of disturbing because that's public land that the citizens of Beach Haven have paid for. And that's a whole can of worms. Can the rest of us go ask for use of land at Walsh Field or Veterans Park? It just seems like it ought to be clear that that's a temporary use during COVID, and it's not something that they ought to be counting on the borough giving that land to them. So that's all. Thank you.
Yet to be decided. Thanks, Jay. Bonnie Lenhart.
Good evening. I have a couple questions.
State your name and address for the record.
Oh, Bonnie Lenhart, 115 Fairview Avenue, Beach Haven.
Go ahead.
My first question is concerning the establishment of the Architectural Advisory Committee. I wish you could talk a little bit more about that. Who's on the committee and what areas are they controlling as far as the architecture goes? That's my first question. My second, you want to deal with each one as I go?
Jamie, you can probably answer that quickly.
Yes, so in the resolution for the Architectural Advisory Committee is going to be pertaining to for all projects, including but not limited to the Marine Commercial District and Business Districts, recommendations pertaining to modifications, additions, or architectural changes in the community. And so it's primarily the Marine Commercial and Business District, but also any application that the Land Use Board or Council seeks guidance, we can use them.
Okay, who's serving on it?
So we have 3 people. We have Jay Madden, Jim Blayhut, and Nicole Baxter.
Okay, and you're keeping it at 3?
We wrote in the resolution that it's at least 3 members and that each year that it's reviewed. So for on a yearly basis, right now we have 3, but that could change next year. But we
Okay.
have 3.
I would make a suggestion, because we discussed this at length when we were doing the master plan. And we felt strongly that an engineer should be on there too, if you could find one.
Yeah, that's why I said at least 3. And, I know that when committees get larger, then it gets a little kind of chaotic. So, we would still be looking for an engineer. So if you have anyone.
And my last question and concern, where I think Nicole is outstanding, do you think there would be any problem with having a land use board person serve on this committee? That people, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there for the future.
I think the problem, is, how small, our town is. And these are just recommendations. There's, it's nothing that are, they're advisory and they're non-binding. So
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Jamie, thank you.
You're welcome.
My second quick question is, how soon can the pickleball people expect to get their money back?
The resolution was on the agenda and approved tonight. Each donor will receive a purchase order from the finance office. They need to sign the purchase order and mail it back. And the amounts will show up on a bill list at the next meeting, and it'll be approved for return then.
Okay, thank you, Sherry.
Yep.
And my last question is concerning this ordinance, 212-3, definition and word usage. Under porches, it says a roofed over deck with an area required railings and guards only. And it says railings and walls shall not be solid or paneled. But people already have solid paneled when they're they're not glass. I don't know what they're made out of. In fact, Tula, the new place that's going in for the lobster rolls, they're putting in that, it's not plexiglass and it's not, I don't know what it is, but it's clear and it's solid. Is that an issue? And the other part of that also is, can somebody explain to me why you can't have a screened porch? It says here, no additional enclosure materials or walls are permitted, including screening, storm windows, which I get, drop curtains. Like if somebody has a deck and at 5 o'clock that sun comes down, sometimes they put up those bamboo roll-up things that drop down to block the sun. And according to this, they're not legal. So, or drop curtains or other temporary enclosures. So I just don't understand why are we against screened porches?
What ordinance are you talking about? Bonnie, can you give me that number again, please?
212-3.
She's talking about general discussion item 2, where we looked at the proposed zoning changes.
Right. And you have the
This
light.
was a definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a good way to get an answer here is, Bonnie, to talk to Joanne Talon or Donna Marie. They were the ones that suggested this change. If you could maybe
But
reach out to them directly.
I did talk to Donna Marie, and Donna Marie said, I don't know why they don't allow screens in porches.
This was a recommendation from them to us.
Okay.
That's what we're taking that out and allowing it
out.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I don't.
crossed
See, I don't have that. I just have.
So what you're saying is that's what we're doing, Bonnie. We are taking that out because there is no reason for that.
That's great.
So the new, Bonnie, the new definition would say a roofed over deck area with required railings and guards only. Railing and walls shall not be solid. Porches shall be open on a minimum of one side.
Perfect.
You're taking out the bit about screen porches and all that, the screens? Because I didn't read, when I read it, it sounded like that was in there.
It's all crossed out.
Those are crossed out.
Okay, I didn't see it crossed out, but good.
Great news. Thank you so much. That's
Thanks,
it.
Bonnie.
All right, thank you.
Tony Gambles.
Yes, hi, Tony Gambles, one Marine Street, Beach Haven. First, I want to say good evening and thank everyone for serving on these committees and serving your community, because that takes a lot of work. I have two questions. The first one is, it has to do with the beer at the Shipwright Brewery. I know everyone enjoys it, but my question is, are we setting a precedent? And I know you said to Jay Kramer, you're reviewing it, so I understand that. But I feel it's a gift of public funds. I'm on the board of taxpayers. And I was wondering, isn't that more of a gift of public funds? And if we gift it to them, do we gift it to others? That's one question. And the other question I have is the fact that children go into that area, because I've been there and I probably had my grandchildren with me. And is that allowed legally when you aren't serving food? So I have two questions. A gift of public funds and setting a precedence in serving food with children in the area.
I don't know who you want to answer this one, but
I don't know.
We're only considering it right now as a result of COVID.
Right.
They don't have the opportunity to operate inside and doesn't have any land abutting the property that he can use outside. So that's what we're considering for that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then you were asking about permitting children into the brewery area?
Yes.
Sherry, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I don't see any issue with that.
Yeah, we're allowed to by law. They're not drinking and they're not at the bar area. It's allowed at all breweries in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and all the states.
Okay. Well, in New York, what we've done, where I live, is the areas that use public parking spaces and sidewalk have paid a fee to the community to use that space. So it's not a gift, it is an income to the area. I'm just saying.
To answer that question, we would be helping out by paving that area. And secondly, we do fundraisers for police and firefighters. So we try to help out the community.
That's not paying the taxpayers and giving funds to the taxpayers. People who are paying for that land. Take care of that land.
All right, I can't answer that. We're just trying to help out if we could do something to make it work.
No, I understand. It's just a question.
Sorry.
And the other question I have is about the committee for architectural review. I just wanted to know, how was that committee formed? Was there something that went out to the taxpayers that asked for volunteers, or was that just the committee that started?
I can answer that.
Thank
This was a committee that was actually formed a couple years ago. And it had three basic people to it, and we stuck just with the bones of that. Jim Blayhut was on the committee. Nicole Baxter was part of it and part of the creation of the committee. And the architect is different, and that is Jay Madden. And we talked about increasing it, but then we said for this year, we were just going to keep it to the three as it was originally designed.
Okay, because I'd like to see it opened up to other volunteers who would like to serve on it, who have been a part. I mean, I've been part of the community for 40 years, so I'm a lot invested. And, I'd like to see what's going on, not so much have a say, but know what's happening. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony. Any other member of the public wish to be heard?
I can't figure out how to raise my hand.
Okay, is that Kitty?
It's Kitty Snyder. I'm really sorry, because typically it's on the bottom, but for some reason I just can't find it.
Just state your name and address for the record, and then you can go.
Kitty Snyder, 120 Berkeley, Beach Haven.
Go ahead.
Just two things. I was watched the land use meeting last week and I was concerned about the new owners of the Fred's Diner, and we weren't allowed to speak, which now I understand why not. And Bonnie did direct me to make a comment at the regular meeting, so here I am. I just want to state for the record that I really hope that the land use board and that you will support this, that will not grant any impervious relief in a high flood zone such as Bay Avenue. I mean, it's basically in a bowl, and to give them relief when they're tearing down a diner in the first place. And even if they weren't, I mean, I just don't think it makes any sense. I don't understand why they would get away without having a buffer. And I'm basically hoping they don't get any of the variances. And the design is just, well, you can judge for yourself. I hope you've all seen the design. Mainly it's the impervious that I'm concerned about. I also was going to ask a question about the height, and I'm really happy that Jamie mentioned it because it's been on my mind since Sandy. And when we increased the height to 35 feet at that time, I was really sad. And with all due respect, I mean, I know we were trying our best, and the commission was, we're trying to do their best to meet the needs of all of the people that were affected. But unfortunately, when you raise the height to 35 feet across the board instead of pre-existing, it has caused, as we know, people to raise to 35 feet, to build rather, not raise to 35 feet, straight up to the maximum height, and is building basically a square box. I think after Sandy, we had the chance to really get it right. And I don't think that we did. And I think that I love what Jamie said about an interesting roof line. I don't know how in the world you would ever police that or to do that. I think go back to 32 feet. That's what I would love to see. And then somehow, without placing a burden on a homeowner, having to go through the whole variance process with an interesting roof line. I don't know. I think it's something that I'm happy that you're going to think about and talk about. On the Historic Preservation Advisory Commission, we have a design guideline. We have meetings and we meet with people and let them know, give them ideas before they hire an architect. There's all kinds of ways to manage that. I think it's great that you're considering it. We would love to help if you need our help. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. And let's hope that this new advisory commission keeps that plan off of Bay Avenue for Fred's Diner. Thank you.
Thank you, Kitty. Any other member of the public wish to be heard?
Nothing?
Seeing none.
Okay, then we're going to close the floor to public comment. And we will go to final remarks by council. I guess we'll do it alphabetically like we usually do. So Dan, would you like to kick us off?
My curse going first. All right. Sure. I'd like to say I was very happy that we recognized the junior maid program from the Beach Haven Charter Association. They did a knockout job, and they're not done. That's the other thing. I was remiss in not mentioning when more people are on the call. I know Captain John Lewis and the maids are scavenging high and low for more material to get put out there. So we haven't heard the last of them, and that's a good thing. The other thing I think, I'd like to pass my condolences to the Cactus family. They Don lost his wife in the past week, and my heart just goes out to him. And then last but not least, that's it, actually. That is last.
Thanks. Jamie?
I also like to thank the Beach Haven Charter Fishery Association and the junior maids. I remember the first meeting at the Beach Haven Library when they were there telling us all about the artificial reef program that has been going on throughout New Jersey in the past, and how they wanted to, redo the reef out in front of Beach Haven. So it's always uplifting to see how passionate youth can be, and when they take on a leadership role, it's very inspiring to everybody else. It also makes us stronger as a community to have these associations and organizations and all the local businesses supporting them as well. So thank you for that. This was a very productive meeting. There's a lot of participants on the meeting, so thank you for coming. I think we're moving forward with our new ordinances and our new zoning and our commissions and our committees. And I think we're being very productive this year. So I'm looking forward to all of our committees and new ordinances, especially the zoning ones. Thank you.
Nancy?
I really have nothing much to say. I concur with everybody else, and I also would like to offer my condolences to the Cactus family. I don't think most people know the extent of the help that Cactus gave to people in our community. She supported them in many medical endeavors through the Volunteers in Coastal Medicine, but she and Dawn actually had a fund that they utilized to help people in need, and they were extremely generous, and we've lost a really good person. So I just wanted to say that, and spring's coming. Daylight savings time starts next week, and get out there and enjoy the nice weather.
Okay, Chris?
I too want to extend my condolences to the Cactus family. I had the opportunity to read the obituary and did not know that Mrs. Cactus was a nurse and also supported the Volunteers in Coastal Medicine, which I think is an amazing organization in this region. So I just thank her for her service to that as well. So, and also too, as Jamie, just to echo what Jamie said, yeah, we're on some committees to a neighborhood council committee. Love some involvement. So if folks are interested in something like that, feel free to reach out to me on my email address. We're going to be having some of our teens involved as well to help give some insight as to how we can make some fun things in town for them. Also passive and active. I know majority of teens like to just walk around on their phones and hang out together, but we're going to try to see how we can get some things going for them as well this summer to reduce some of the crowds. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me to participate. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. So appreciate it.
Thank you. I too would like to express my condolences to the Cactus family. I knew Pat a little bit, and she was an impressive lady, and I know her loss will be felt not just by the family, but by the community. Again, congratulations to the junior mates. That was a great thing they did, and we're all very happy. Also want to congratulate Beach Haven Elementary on their Read Across America week. They said it's going well, and that's always a great thing. And last of all, I just want to, because this has been coming up a little bit, the coyote issue. I actually had an email from Representative Van Drew's office today, because apparently they're getting calls from Long Beach Island. Very difficult situation because they think the dens might be in Barnegat Light and possibly in the township. So if you see one, call the police, but there's really nothing unless they are in some enclosed area that the police would be able to do. And unfortunately, apparently these animals can go anywhere from 20 to 50 miles a day. So they think they're coming into Beach Haven and leaving, but I would highly and strongly recommend you do not let any of your pets outside at night. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. And would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.